Well, thanks for coming out from San Diego. It is important to make good quality, especially when you have a good story. Turns out you have a lot of great things that the audience can learn today. Like some of the things that the audience needs to hear is like, number one, how did you get your first deal?
Yeah.
Freaking door knocking.
Well, my first deal actually was it was a virtual wholesale deal with this guy I teamed up within the
so you did a
SubTo community. Yeah, and then...
You did a JV deal with somebody in the community, but you're like, all right, I want to go do a deal.
Yeah.
From my understanding, and I want to hear the start of this.
Yeah.
But just teasing and showing the audience.
Yeah.
Guys, Dylan is here all the way from Croatia and Puerto Rico.
Both.
Eterovich.
Correct.
And Dylan Eterovich, look him up. We'll put his Instagram down below. Drove 5.5 hours to get out here because I wanted to make sure you guys heard this incredible story. Has heard me tell people online, I will pay you $10,000 if you can knock 100 doors without getting a deal. And I've still never had anybody do that. Nobody's ever done it. And you were actually the only person that ever came up to me and go, I took that challenge on, and we're going to tell you guys about that story. The other thing I'm curious about is your intimacy coaching. I think I think one of the biggest challenges that the people watching, 80% of my audience are 18 to 45-year-old men. And I can tell you one of the biggest problems they're going to have is either their spouse or their partner. But I can tell you it's either lack of support from that loved one or their inability to communicate with that loved one or what have you. And they're dancing that relationship of business growth versus relationship. How do I get into that? And I think we should cover that today too. I think it'll help a lot of people in their real estate journey. So tell us about this foreclosure deal.
Okay. Well, can we back up even further?
Hell yeah.
Right.
Back it up, bro.
Cool. So moved to San Diego in March of 2024, and then I was just...
From where?
From Northern California. So from like Sonoma, like between Sonoma and Sacramento.
Why would anybody leave that magical part of the country?
So I grew up there my whole life. Actually worked in wine for like many, many years. So I know a lot about wine. I worked in the industry in Sonoma, Napa, and then I just wanted to, change things up a little bit like different change of pace.
Why are there so many different types of wine, bro?
I don't know. It's just different white grapes and red grapes, and then the different varietals from all different kinds. Who knows?
I go into a wine shop. I don't drink, but I walk into like AJ's Fine Foods, and I see 400 different types of brands. I'm like, how are these 400 different types of brands even making any money?
Well, there's all different. Well, it depends on the varietal, where it's grown, like. Because wine, grapes grow all across the world. Italy, Spain, France, especially here in California.
Were you in sales or what were you doing?
Yeah, I worked in sales, tasting room mostly. I worked for my uncle's fine wine shop. They sold wine. They still sell wine from all across the world. That's when I first dipped my feet in. Worked harvest, worked in different tasting rooms. Learned about where people come from, what kind of wines they like to drink. California wines are typically more like higher octane, more richer, more juicier, more sugar wines, versus wines that you can drink on their own, versus Italian wines or French wines or Spanish wines, which are wines that go more with food pairings. Lower alcohol, higher acidity. Usually wines that can last longer too when you store them. So
I would imagine you picked up a lot of people skills doing this.
Yeah, I'm definitely a people person, very extroverted, very ADHD.
But you also start seeing like stereotypes and like people fit in certain buckets as you talk. What I've learned of, knocking doors and cold calling and negotiating, I've learned that there's like 50 buckets that most people kind of fit inside of. And you can kind of clock them almost immediately when you have sales skills like what you have. And then you know how to address and communicate with them. Which is, challenging for somebody on the other side of the camera. They'll say, what's my script? It's like, man, scripts are important to a certain degree. They kind of give you a framework, but I imagine you're pretty good. You can knock a door and just have a conversation with somebody.
Well, I can't now, but to be honest, I wasn't like that, which is where I think the first venture of door knocking actually started when I first moved to San Diego. So, fun fact about all this real estate stuff: I'd never been in real estate, never done any real estate adventuring or anything like that. Any research into it, and then I moved to San Diego. Me and my good friend, me and my roommate at the time, one of my best friends. We're at a bar and we're talking to these girls, and he was like, "Oh yeah, like I work in media relations for a video game company, and I also do wholesaling on the side." And he goes, "I go, dude, isn't wholesaling illegal in California?" Because that's what I said. And he's like, "No." And then that's what just got me down the rabbit hole. For the next weeks and weeks, we were watching your videos, Jamil's videos,
Brent, Jerry,
Jerry Norton's videos, just learning everything.
Maxwell, the good old boys.
Yeah, everyone. And then we started learning more, and it was like, okay, well, I love this stuff. I'm like interested in doing this stuff. And then you fast forward 2 months later, and I was like, you know what? I know some friends that are realtors down here. I'm gonna see if I can pull a list and just go start knocking doors. So I pulled a list, and I remember driving out to the first property, and the property looked kind of vacant. And I was like, my heart's just like pumping. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, so I like stand by the door, making sure like I'm looking to see if anyone's inside. I knocked on it. The property looked vacant. I was like, I don't gotta talk to anybody. Okay, great.
I remember the good old days where like I was so grateful when somebody didn't pick up the phone or answer the door.
Yeah. And then I drove to the next house, and it looks like I saw someone get out of their car and walk in their house, and I sat in my car for 15 minutes, and I said, nope, and I drove right back home. Yeah. So then from that time until 8 months later, I didn't knock a door forever. So then from that journey though, for the next 8 months, I started researching every single part of real estate in the kind of wholesaling, creative finance kind of market. And then I ended up joining the SubTo community in December of 2024.
Okay, so not even a year.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I've been 9 months, 10 months, what month are we in? About 9 months now, yeah. So joined SubTo because I was like, I need to like learn and join a team and join a community.
Yeah, I need to like have homies.
Yeah. And then I joined the No One Left Behind challenge. I got put on 2 different teams because I was already doing like wholesale stuff, and I like bought a bunch of cold call leads, which was a big mistake because I had no idea how to like pitch people on anything. This was before I joined the community. And then in December, I joined the community, and then I joined the No One Left Behind challenge. They connect me with 2 different teams, and then I ended up connecting. I was like reaching out to because there was like you have all the rookies and you have like the closers, and I just reached out to both closers on both teams and said, hey, I got these cold call leads. Would you guys close them for me, and we can JV on the deals? I'm like, I don't even care. I don't even care if I make 20%. Like, I just want to see how you guys operate. And fast forward a couple weeks, I connected with one of them. His name's Marcus Lucky. He's a good friend now. He's someone that he actually lives in Sonora, California. So like kind of Northern California, close to Yosemite. And him and I started talking, and he goes, hey man, I actually have this wholesale company. Do you want to just join? Do you want to work for me? So, and I've realized that after like so much time kind of goes on, that the best way to truly get into the either wholesaling or any type of deal, if you're not joining a community, is to join a team.
Always. I tell people all the time, the Orbit program, like you got the planet or the sun of like somebody who already owns a business. And if you can orbit them and get that heat, right, as you're rotating and trying to figure it all out, by far the greatest thing on the planet.
And he's crazy smart. He's really, really good with systems. He actually works for like a marketing company now that like sells like leads. Google, like how to build Google ads for wholesaling companies.
Smart. I think that most people that are starting to scale their wholesale business have gone towards like full on PPC, PPL, et cetera, paying for the money, get the phone ring into you. Yeah.
So he didn't have anyone. I think he had like one other person that was on, like he had a VA, and the first like week and a half, it was just him training me on like how to comp using Zillow, like how to look at, because I think I was using Property Radar, I was using Batch. I was using Batch leads to look at like, property information, all that. And he uses Property Radar, so I end up getting Property Radar instead, it works really great in California. I actually love Property Radar as not a CRM, it's it's just property, whatever, property searching website, for real estate website. And so he's like, all right, man, well, I think you're ready to like start talking to people. He's just like, just start taking phone calls, because leads would come in. And that's actually how I got my first deal. This deal was actually kind of nuts. My first deal. It was a lead in Washington. Lady calls and goes, "Hey, my grandma's 80 years old. She has dementia. She owns
that's a tricky lead.
She is the what's it called? The signee. She's
the executor of the estate.
Yeah. She has the POA. She has POA over the grandmother. The grandmother has dementia, and she needs to sell the grandmother's house. They give us the address. Zillow has the house listed at like $550,000. It's a pretty big house on like 8 acres. Sticky situation is the grandmother's like daughter-in-law is squatting in the house. Oh. So yeah. So anyways, I ended up I was just like, they're like, I was like, what do you guys want for it? Like, we have no idea. Just like, we want to sell it. I go, would you guys take $100,000? And she goes, oh, let me think about it. So then they hung up. 10 minutes later, they called back. Like, would you do 200? I was like, how about we meet in the middle at 150? And she goes, done. So we signed docs and all that. And I'm talking to Marcus, and Marcus is like, oh, dude, this one, like, we want to just open escrow right now and just get this thing going.
Oh, bro.
Yeah. Don't even worry about finding a buyer.
Marcus, you're so lucky, bro.
Yeah.
You're so lucky.
Yeah. And that was my first deal, was that deal. And
you know what? Marcus deserves that. I make the joke that he's lucky because obviously that's his last name.
Yeah.
But he deserves that. Reaching out, helping you, getting you in on his team. You guys get this under contract at 150.
Yeah.
I imagine you're going to close this deal, own the deal, and then work on evicting the lady.
So we didn't want to Marcus didn't really want to deal with the headache of it. So we ended up.
Interesting. I would have closed on this thing immediately.
Yeah. So he ended up finding another wholesaler that knows that area, and that guy found a buyer that was willing to basically take it sight unseen.
Okay.
For I think we ended up assigning it for
$250.
No, I think like $240 actually.
Okay, yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys got such a great deal on that.
$260, but then we gave the wholesaler $20,000 for basically bird dogging the deal.
So your first deal, you made 90 G's.
We made 90 G's, and I took a percentage of that because So
yeah, of course.
And that was like, I was like, okay, this stuff is pretty awesome.
For you to see a $90,000 deal get done, and you were the one that took the call, and for you to go, I'll do 100, they come back at 200, for you to be the one going back and saying we'll do it for 150, for you to see open escrow, for you to see somebody else go find the buyer, for you to go see that there's buyers that are willing to buy those things kind of sight unseen and deal with the tenants. That is a massive, massive breakthrough.
Yeah, it was definitely a headache. I didn't have to deal with it. I didn't have to deal with it, but yeah, it was a headache for, I think, Marcus but the whole process was amazing. And we ended up doing, I think, together 3 more actually, not creative deals, but 3 more novations through that. Another one in Missouri, another one in Florida, and then Marcus literally one day he was like, do you know where you want to make some like real money? I'm like, well, you say it like that, it's kind of, speculative. He goes, oh, well, you should go door knocking in San Diego. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, I mean, most places you go door knocking are anywhere between, 10 to 20 grand if you go in like, Arizona, or if you go in like Colorado, or if you go in Texas, whatever. But like San Diego, I mean, you're talking rips of
a couple $100,000 sometimes.
Yeah. And he's like, it's not uncommon to make 50 grand on a wholesale deal in California.
And the thing is, like, going back to you door knocking at the first, get-go, a year prior to all this, is 99.9% of people that are watching this video right now that are like, I'm interested in foreclosure and door knocking.
Yeah.
They also have done the same thing, which is you knock on one door, you wish they didn't answer.
Yeah.
You go do a second door, and you're like, yeah, I'm going home, and then you don't do it ever again.
Yeah.
So people think, isn't door knocking saturated? I'm like, dude, it's untapped.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who do it. Like there's other wholesale companies that do it. Like there's a company called Sunday that goes out and they'll just leave a card. I'm like, no. Like I'm gonna knock 3 or 4 times, and then I'm gonna leave a sticky note, and then I'm gonna come back a week and a half later, and I'm gonna knock again. Because some people, I would say most people, 50% of them do have it handled, but the other 50% that say they have it handled obviously don't.
Yeah.
Right. But actually, to then now fast forward to, this is probably like early, mid-February of this year, I was like, all right, I'm going to pull this, and I'm just going to start going knocking. And the first house I actually knocked on where I spoke with someone was a house in La Jolla. The house was like a $4 million home on the hill in La Jolla. The guy was
foreclosure.
In foreclosure. The guy owed about $120,000 in arrears, something like that. And I'm talking to him, and I was just like, I kind of was like, all right, what are you looking for? Like, how can I help you out, right? The biggest thing which I learned, most of the stuff I learned from the door knocking situation was basically stuff that you and Michael Frankie literally just talked about in your guys' series. Yeah. And I learned all that, right? It's basically, hey, I noticed your lender's been giving you some grief. Like,
because you know these sellers are not going to take it like any sort of responsibility.
No.
It's going to be 100%. The bank sucks. They're taking advantage of me. How many times have you heard that?
Oh, I mean, all of them.
They lost the mail. Yeah. I sent the check in the mail. They were taking advantage of me. They were supposed to redo the loan. They didn't do the loan. It's like literally all of what you're telling me is a lie. 100%.
They're scamming me. It's all a joke. I'm not in foreclosure. I'm like,
oh, bro. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
How many people? I feel like the foreclosure process is really you're more of a therapist than you are a real estate investor.
Yeah.
It is the biggest the challenge in the real estate investment world in terms of the seller you're communicating with, because you don't know when they're telling the truth.
Yeah.
You're like, man, this lady that's like 62 years old, she seems convincing.
Yeah.
But I can see she's in foreclosure. She's telling me it's the craziest world ever.
Yeah.
So this guy at $4 million, what happens?
That guy, he ends up like, I tell him like, hey, I'd love to help you out. He's like, well, can you get me a loan? I'm like, maybe. I'm like, I don't know what to say really. I was like, I can maybe get you a loan. He's like, I'm gonna talk to whoever. So I am hopping on a call with Steve Anderson in San Diego. I was like, Steve, like, would you be able to talk to the guy on his phone? And we ended up talking to the guy on the phone, and the guy's like, he is dealing with like, when he opened the door, I saw him, his house is a mess. He's like, he's got like Band-Aids on his face, his wife's in the hospital. I think she was like not doing well in the hospital, and like there's some stuff going on, right? And that ended up like nothing. I think it ended up falling through, whatever. I can't remember exactly what happened, but that was like.
I'd be curious to see where that house is now.
Yeah, I think they probably might have got an agent to list it, because that's just a typical, like, it's a $3.5–4 million home on a hill overlooking the ocean in La Jolla.
It's gonna sell,
so it's gonna sell, right? And so I didn't really like follow, but I was like, you know what? That was the house that got me to go, oh. Like, I can actually have a conversation with somebody and I'm going to be okay, right? So
yeah, I mean, that's probably as bad as it probably gets.
Yeah.
You've got a guy that's behind, he's got sickness issues.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to sell the house. He wants to stay in the house. Like, that's really a pretty challenging situation.
Yeah.
And that's pretty common.
Yeah.
And if you can get through that and you go, dude, they didn't take my birthday away from me?
Well, it's funny. Before I walked up and opened the door, I was a little like pacing the road for like 10 minutes, just like trying to like, because it's real, right? The nerves to like actually go and confront people is like, you have like cold calling people, then you have like actually going to their door.
It's so interesting, dude. Like, I was looking at this quote the other day, and the quote was, stop telling people you're not good at something, start saying I'm new to this.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with bodybuilding.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with intimacy coaching, confronting people, having tough conversations. It's like, it's not that you're bad at it, it's that you're new to it. And you're always going to feel that certain way. It's interesting. You've overcome that in 50 other things in your life.
Yeah.
But every time we start something new, we got to have those freaking crappy butterflies in our stomach again. So you're pacing up and down, you talk to the guy, you get through, it doesn't work out, but you at least go, I can do this.
So then I ended up going and knocking like 4 more doors that day, and like each one just got easier and easier. And I can't remember how that day went, but from that time until my first door knocking deal, it was I tracked everything. I did 95 doors until my first deal. So
where you and I met was in LA.
It was in LA. Yeah.
And I know we've spoken on Zoom and whatnot, but like where we hung out, and I said we got to get you on the podcast.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for like 10 years, before anybody even knew who I was. Here locally, we used to knock doors back in 2018, 19, and 20.
Yep.
COVID hits, I shut my door knocking team down. But I would tell people, I go, it's physically impossible for you to go and knock 100 doors and not get a deal. Like I've never seen it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nobody's going to do it.
Yep.
The other part is I also know it's impossible to not get a deal.
Yeah.
So I say it online all the time. I will pay you $10,000 if you can prove to me you knocked 100 doors and did not get a deal.
Yeah.
I imagine you're in like the 70s and the 80s, and you're like, this son of a bitch.
Yeah.
He's going to pay me $10,000. And you get to 95th door, you knock it, and what happens?
Yeah, well, there's more depth than that, but basically I ended up closing on it. It was a deal that was actually in Chula Vista. And
Chula Vista's on the ocean?
It's kind of it's just there. I like to call most towns in San Diego on the ocean, right? But Chula Vista is just south of downtown, basically. It's like 20 minutes south of downtown.
Okay, yeah. It's like Diet Mexico.
Kind of.
It's like between downtown. I mean, downtown is
you have downtown, then you have National City, Chula Vista, Imperial Beach, and then the border.
Okay, got it. So you're like, wait, okay, got it.
Yeah, so I would drive, like how I would do it, so I would pull my list. I would use, fun fact, before I would actually pull my list, every Friday I would drive to the recorder's office and I would go to the older NODs and I would take pictures of all their NODs, go through on their computer, just walk up, scan, go through security, go upstairs and take photos of all the NODs. There's like 100 of them. And then I would go back home. I would input all those addresses into Property Radar, and then I would basically filter them all out for my specific search. And my specific search was basically no condos, no homes over like 1.5 million, 1.25 million. 60%, sometimes 50% more equity, 50% or more equity. NOD has to be more than $7,500, and then I think that's like a good basis. And then in San Diego County, I wouldn't drive to like Ramona or these other like farther out towns in San Diego, which are like, I wouldn't drive probably farther than like 45 minutes. So that would pull from like 100
That's
homes.
a really good rule of thumb. I really think that that's smart. I know that you guys, you're a driving city. San Diego is very much a driving city, and you do have traffic as well.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people are like, well, how far is too far to go out and find foreclosures?
Yeah.
Dude, 45 minutes to drive to knock a door that you don't know they're going to answer. Yeah. I think that's a good line to draw.
And I live pretty central in San Diego, so I'm able to go like to northern San Diego and be there in 35, 40 minutes. I'm able to go all the way to like the border at San Ysidro and be there in about 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and I categorize like, okay, I've categorized in my Google Sheets, CRM, whatever, I would categorize, all the North.
By the way, that's the best CRM, my friends. Google Sheets is the best.
So I would literally take all the properties and I would just do it by zip codes and addresses, and I would literally put like, I would have like 10 homes in North County, in like North County, San Diego.
So you'd knock them all at the same time when you went back again?
So I'll be like, all right, I'm going to Escondido today. I'm going to knock all the homes that are in Escondido, Vista, Oceanside, because a lot of people, I feel like a lot of times, there was a moment when I first started where I was like going from like Oceanside to Chula Vista to LK Homes. I was driving all around the county. I was just like, I'm just wasting so much time. So I would do blocks, like Saturday would be North County, and then Sunday would be East County, and then Wednesday would be South County or Central. So basically it would be Central County, South County, East County, or North County is how I would where I would do my knocks basically.
Smart.
Yeah. And then I would just do usually for me, it would take me about 5 homes. I would knock out 5 homes in about 2.5 hours. I like to do, the math is roughly, I do about 2.5 to 3 homes per hour. It's kind of is like, from conversations to driving points to parking to talking, I'm there anyways. I'm usually at each home for about 20 to 30 minutes, like 15 to 25 minutes, I would say. So I would do about 3 homes an hour. So I know that I can knock out about 5 homes in 2 to 2.5 hours. That's kind of like the internal math that I would do.
Knowing what you know now, you know, I know that you got your first door knocking deal on house 95, but let's say you know what you knew now. You go back to those first 94.
Yeah.
Feel like you would have gotten another deal or two?
Oh, at least I probably would have gotten at least 2 or 3. Just some of the negotiation and
or understanding where they're lying, where they're not lying, maybe what you could have done to help, what have you. Maybe knowing how to set up a follow-up or what have you.
Yeah.
So guys, remember that. Like, this is him going out and making it freaking happen. You got to know that when you are door knocking houses, you're not doing one every 95. You might do one every 30 to 40 when you get decent, right? And when you get really good, it might be one out of like 27, one out of 30, one out of 31, kind of on average. But that's a good point to bring up. Yes, he hit 95. When I first started door knocking in 2018, I kind of did the same thing, very similar, sporadic, all over the place. I would just go to the most recent NODs, notice of default, for people that don't know what that is. The most recent NOD. I want to get the hottest stuff the fastest. So I'm zig-zagging all over the place, and I'd get 7 houses done in 9 hours. Yeah. Then I'm like, this is dumb. Yeah. What am I doing? I'm going to just go 15, 15, 15, and I would separate the whole valley, and I would do it in between, other things I was doing. But so you're breaking this down, which is great. Not a lot of visionaries have mathematical tracking. I'm pretty good like
desires. Number wise. Like I noticed, I think the biggest thing for me to like keep things like not too overwhelming is 5 houses in a day was like a good number to hit. 2.5 hours, I can do it usually either first thing in the morning or on the weekend. The weekends I would do anywhere between like 5 to 10. I could definitely do more. I'd start at like 9 a.m. Well, I'd leave my house at 9. I'd come back by like 3 or 4, right? And I would go stop lunch, and I would keep going knocking. And it was just like, it was also fun because I like driving. I like driving around, just bumping to music, listening to a podcast and stuff. And then it kind of gets you out of the rhythm of just like the nerves of trying to like talk to people, And some people aren't home. So usually the people that aren't home, I have like a system where like, and this I'll just tell you guys, like my whole system is like I use Google Sheets. I categorize stuff by the leads and colors. So it's like, if I knock on a house and they don't answer, I write in the notes like, weren't home, I left a sticky note on the door, date. So it'd be like, September 14th, 6 p.m. Monday. so I know exactly what day I was
Just
there.
basics, yeah.
Right, and then I would mark that orange because that would be a house that I would need to go back to. A house that I would talk to, and they would be like, okay, no, we got it handled. Thank you so much. And they would slam the door on me. And I'm like hey, like what's going on? Boom, slam the door on me. I would mark that house yellow. I talk to them. And my whole rule of thumb was like, I don't go back to homes that are in NODs where I already talked to until they get a notice of sale. So because if they say they have it handled, I'm gonna go, okay, I'm gonna wait till you guys actually have it, until you say you have it handled. But if a notice of sale comes out, that means you don't really have it handled.
So for those of you guys that don't understand, notice of default basically says to the world, right? This is how Dylan and other people find out that these people are in foreclosure. And what you're doing is you're knocking on these houses, and sometimes the sellers will go, oh, we're not in foreclosure. Like the county says otherwise, bro. Like public record says otherwise. I have a photo of your NOD right there at county. And so when they lie and they push you off, then what he's saying is he's like, okay, they're not quite ripe enough for me to pull them off the tree, right? Like they might go get a loan modification. They might list with an agent, and those are better for them. They should go list with an agent. They should go get a loan modification if they possibly can. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until the state or the county says, this is getting auctioned off. We're taking it to the trustee and it's going to get sold off. Now at that point, those sellers can't lie. Like there's an auction date set.
Yeah, and that's what I realized. So it's like typically how it works is you miss 3 months of payments. The county goes, hey, they work with the trustee. They go, hey, like you are now a notice of default. We're going to give you 90 days before we issue a notice of sale. So they go, oh, here's notice of default. This is how much it is. This is what you owe on your, this is what you owe on the rest of your mortgage. A lot of people go, I got 90 days. Like I got plenty of time. Right. Well, 90 days goes by. 90 days goes by in the blink of an eye.
Bro, I'm telling you, I used to call foreclosure door knocking ostrich hunting.
Yeah.
Because these people are like ostrich with their heads in the sand. Like, 90 days. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the worst going to happen? A sheriff's going to come and kick in my door. That's exactly what happens in Phoenix, Arizona. Is like the sheriff knock, knock, knock. Somebody owns a house. Get the heck out.
California is a little more lenient, I will say.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still it will happen.
They're still getting out.
Yeah.
It might take a little bit more time, but they're still going to get kicked out of the house.
And then after those 90 days, they'll get the notice of sale. And typically the notice of sale is about 21 to 30. I always say 21 to 30 days from when they issue it, typically. And then that's when it starts to get real, right? And then what you'll see a lot, and I've been to a few auctions just to kind of see kind of what happens. I've been to like auction.com's auctions that they hold in the city of El Cajon at the courthouse. And you'll get there and there'll be 15 properties ready to be auctioned. And then right before they start it cuts down to 4 because everyone goes, I need to call a bankruptcy attorney immediately because I don't want my property to get foreclosed on.
You go from like 15 houses on the auction block that day, get cut down to 4 because 11 of this is the craziest thing about sellers. They will not do anything until the last freaking minute.
Yeah.
And what they do, for people who haven't watched any of the other foreclosure content we have on the channel, I've actually removed a lot of my foreclosure content because there's so many people that there's people out there like the Attorney General of Arizona right now believes that everybody that works foreclosures is trying to hurt sellers.
Yeah.
And if you understand what you understand and you've actually been in the streets, you're like, these sellers are in denial and they're losing their houses.
Yeah.
And we are the only people that are there to help them because the agent couldn't sell the house.
Yeah.
They couldn't get a loan modification. They're in denial. We are there to help them last minute.
Yeah.
But if you guys haven't watched the foreclosure content on the channel or Michael Franke, another SubTo leader in our community, essentially what's happening is you have the ability as a seller to call the bankruptcy court and stall the foreclosure by claiming bankruptcy. Now, it doesn't mean you claim bankruptcy right there. You just say, I'm going to apply for bankruptcy, which then stalls the entire foreclosure process.
Yeah.
And these people are waiting till I don't even know how they figure that out.
I don't know either.
Like, how are they even
I knocked a house in Sacramento one time. This is like a few months ago. And the guy.
In Sacramento?
Yeah, because I have family that live up there. So I'll fly up there and I'll drive around Sacramento and knock on the doors in Sacramento. No, I did not drive up there. Yeah, like whenever I go visit family up there, I'm like, hey, like I got some time to kill. I'm gonna go knock some doors in Sacramento. So I had one guy, older guy, the house is bad shape, and he's like, oh yeah, I filed for bankruptcy like 9 times. Yeah, and the time he was in bankruptcy this time was a friend of his that like lent him money to get out of bankruptcy, and then that guy was actually filing foreclosure on him. So he's like, oh, I'm just gonna ask that same guy to help me out again, and I was just like, I can't go down that route.
Get through your lives
Yeah.
is beyond me.
Yeah.
I had this quote for a long time. I used to wear it on a hoodie. I still have the hoodie, but I got to reprint it. It's buyers are liars, sellers are worse. These sellers, bro.
100%.
100%. What you dealt with, and
Yeah.
obviously you understand people's personality types and how to identify stuff.
Yeah.
But okay, so you go 15 houses, 4 of them would actually go to actual auction.
Yeah,
the other 11 would go back into bankruptcy, which they wouldn't actually file bankruptcy.
Yeah.
I would venture to say, I don't know the numbers, but I would venture to say 90% of them are not actually intending to file bankruptcy. They just Googled, like, how do I stop a foreclosure?
Yeah.
And then the website says, go lie and say you're filing bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went down, you saw the auctions, you kind of saw how it operated.
That was just like for me. That was just like I want to know how it works out.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
So I went to this. I had no plan on buying any homes that day. I just want to see
usually
because when these
like
homes,
where do these houses?
Yeah, where these houses go, right? Auction.com is the biggest one that everyone goes. That most homes go to. So I learned. I'm like, okay, so a lot of people like all these homes, like because I was following one that was talking to a seller, and I was like, hey, your house is literally gonna be auctioned off on Saturday or on Tuesday. This was like on a Friday. And I go down there and their house, there it is, their house. And then literally right before the auction starts, their house, boom, is gone because they decided to. Like a lot of these sellers, they know how to like work the system, because the biggest thing I notice is like some homes I'll go to and they might have been into notice of default twice. And that's when I'll have a conversation with them. Some of them will go to notice of default. I'll look at their history on Property Radar and it'll be like 9 or 10 times in the last 15 years. And they're just like repeat offenders over and over and over again. Like some people literally, they'll write a fat check for 30 grand every like year and a half to pay off whatever. And that's just how they operate. And it's just like some of those homes I don't.
Craziest way of operating, dude.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, here's one. This is probably the one that, this is a deal. This is probably like house number 30, I would say. I knock on this house. The house is like, it's in bad shape. Like there's like trees and bushes covering everywhere. There's a car in the driveway. It looks like it hasn't been moved in 5 or 6 years. I knock on the house. I'm like, hello, anyone home? Anyone home? And the screen door's open. And then this old lady comes out. She's probably in her early 70s. And she opens the door. She's like, hey, come on in. I'm like, okay, the house just reeks like mold. It's just bad. I end up talking with her. She definitely has something going on. She's like her whole situation, like her legs are like oozing because it looks like she has like diabetes and something really bad's going on. And I'm like, I need to call like medical attention for this person. Like, and like I knocked on the house, she let me in and I was like, hey, just so you know, like your house in foreclosure. Because my whole process is this. Knock on the door, hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? My name is Dylan. I don't mean to stop by unannounced. I just noticed your lender's been giving you some grief. Just want to see how everything's kind of going with that. And a lot of times they go, lender's been giving me grief. What do you mean? And I go, oh, like I noticed that the lender has issued a notice of default on the property foreclosure. And they go, oh, I'm not foreclosure. What are you talking about? I go, okay, well, it's right here, whatever. And sometimes people will invite me in, be like, hey, come to my house, like, let's talk about it. I'm like, all right, cool. So I went to this lady's house, we're talking, and she's just like, all these, like, she's all over the place. Like, she has no idea. Her husband passed away, so she's still like a year and a half ago. Without going too deep into it, so the situation with this property was, the lady was only in default like $2,000, but she was in default like 7 months prior for $7,000. Her daughter bailed her out. The neighbors banded together to say, oh, the daughter's trying to steal the house from you. So we need to, because her daughter had POA over her. The whole entire neighborhood, like neighbors right next door and all that, were like, hey, we need to file like a restraining order and get your daughter off POA. So they did that. And then, but this lady can't control her finances. Like, has no idea what's going on. Go to find out that basically the neighbors were stealing the house from her. Oh. Yeah. So, and what ended up happening, the neighbors were like in their late 60s, early 70s. The neighbor's son, who was like in his early 40s, was basically like conniving his way and working his way to become like this lady's best friend. And she ended up signing him to be the POA. And he basically was like, okay, now that she's like incapable of like helping herself out, like I'm gonna sell the house. So I remember because there's one day I went there, the third day I went there, I knocked on the house and the lady's like, hey, excuse me, can I help you? I'm like, yeah, I'm just here to see Nancy, you know? And she goes, yeah, how can I help you? I'm the neighbor or whatever. And I'm like, oh, Nancy's house is in foreclosure. I've been here a few times. Like, I'm just literally just trying to help out. You know, I can see, I don't want her to lose her house because there's probably gonna be a notice of sale pretty soon. And she was like, oh, let me go talk to Nancy. And then she goes to talk to her, I'm standing there, and then she calls her son, and then they like flip on me and were like, you need to get out here right now. Like, who are you? Give me all your information. You know, give me like all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, I'm literally like, I'm a foreclosure specialist. I help people get out of foreclosure. Like I either find ways for them to save their house or, you know, I buy homes.
They were acting like you were taking advantage of the seller when in reality they were the ones.
They were, yeah. And so that instant, the son comes over and he's being all nice, whatever, like, hey man, what's going on? And then like, he then goes and talks to the lady and comes back out and goes, you need to get off her property right now. And I'm gonna file a restraining order against you as well. And started doing a little more research, and that's when I found out. And I'm like, I ended up calling the police because I was like, one, this lady needs to go. Like, she literally has ooze coming off her legs. She like can't think straight. Like something's going on. And so I called the police, and they like flipped out that I called the police. And go to find out, like I ended up working with the daughter. It was a good deal to start. So I was like, oh, I can definitely help this lady out. I'm working with the daughter because the daughter kind of knows the whole situation. And then go to find out that like the daughter, I ended up like leaving the whole deal. I was like, I can't, like, this is just, it's like too over my head now because I don't really, like, there's a bunch of extra factors that are involved. And the daughter called me and goes, hey, just so you know, like my mom basically gave POA to the neighbor's son. And now he basically, his whole mindset was like, he is going to like sell the house and take all the money basically.
You know, it's stories like this that make me realize that the Attorney General of Arizona is actually right. Like going and attacking people that are going into foreclosure, it looks as if we are those people.
Yeah.
Like if we're out knocking doors and talking to somebody in foreclosure, it looks like we're trying to take advantage of them.
Yeah.
Because there are people out there, neighbors of these people that are out there taking advantage.
Yeah, it's elder abuse, right?
Yeah.
And I called the San Diego County elder abuse, whatever the number is, and I reported it, and I'm trying to do everything I can because I noticed that and then also the neighbor's son ended up going and making her buy gold, and he stole the gold from her, and it was one of those
guys.
deals.
I would tell you this sounds surprising to me, but it's not. All the every dead body I've seen in real estate, foreclosure. All the guns I've seen in real estate, foreclosure. Free cars I've gotten, foreclosure. People that are fighting and pulling weapons on each other, foreclosure. Meth heads, fentanyl, all the crazy stuff, it's always freaking foreclosure.
Yeah, it's not, and the thing is just it's almost kind of, it's exciting though too for me. It's tensions are kind of up. It's kind of exciting. I'm like, this because I knew this deal would have been a good one.
You're pretty young. Did you remember the show X-Files?
Yeah, I mean, I remember I was too young because I was kind of scared to watch that show as a kid. But
bro, I swear to you, that TV show is about foreclosures. Every episode is a new conspiracy theory about a new thing and a new person.
Yeah.
Every time I went and worked on a foreclosure deal, I'm like, I feel like Mulder from the X-Files, one of the characters.
Yeah.
And it is so unique, and you'll never run into the same story ever again.
Yeah.
These people have made some of the worst decisions, some of them on their own. Others are because of their health, mental health, somebody got divorced, they're going through trauma, whatever. Man, it is the most interesting world ever.
Yeah, and I realized, I'm like, okay, that's just, the thing is too, is that that specific situation where the son was yelling at me and was like, I'm gonna file a restraining order, and then another house I knocked on, he's like, don't ever come to my door ever again. Those are probably the two worst interactions I had while door knocking. That was it. Other ones are just I'm not in foreclosure, don't knock on my house, shut the door. I've never gotten a gun pulled on me. I've never had anyone trying to fight me or anything like that. It's usually most of maybe
most people are pretty cordial. The worst thing that's ever happened to me is I had a Chihuahua bite me, but it was through my pants. It wasn't a big deal. He just nipped at me.
Yeah.
That was the worst thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah. So I haven't had anything too crazy, but.
So how did we get to House 95?
So keep following up. House 95. So basically, this house was a Chula Vista. It was off a main street. I remember I knocked on the door. It's kind of like a beat up house. And I remember the first time I knocked, it was actually one of the first like 10 homes I knocked on.
Well, you're coming back
and no one was home.
knocking, yeah.
So I left a sticky note, right? And what I usually do is when I knock on a house and no one's home, I'll leave a sticky note that says either call me with my phone number or like, hey, like I know you're like I can help with your lender. I can help with your lender, and then my name and phone number. I noticed that typically most people will not call you if you put like, hey, I know you're in trouble, or I can help with your lender or whatever. But if I just put call me with my number, I get way more calls that way instead. Just because they're like, oh, like, and sometimes I'll even put neighbor on there. And I remember I had one person get upset. They're like, they called me. I knocked on the door. They're like, oh yeah, you're my neighbor. Where do you live? I was like, oh, I live in this area, like 20 minutes away. You're like, you're not my neighbor. Don't ever call me again. And I'm like, well, we live in the same county. We're basically neighbors, right? But so this person never called me, left a sticky note. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back. This is probably 3 weeks after I initially knocked. I go knock on the house. Screen door's open. I'm like, hey, how's it going? And this lady in like a semi-wheelchair, little push stroller, kind of comes over to me, and she's super nice. She's very, very kind. Her name's Vivian. And Vivian was basically like, I was like, hey, Vivian. I was like, hey, like, my name's Dylan. I'm going to stop by unexpectedly. I noticed your lender's been giving you some grief. And she just goes, yeah, I'm just really struggling right now, you know. And I was just having a conversation with her. I just started talking with her, kind of seeing what's going on. She was about $50,000 in arrears. And it was a house that she grew up in. It was her parents' house.
So she inherited it?
She inherited it. It was in a trust as well.
So it was her parents' old loan?
Correct.
Okay,
yeah.
Got it.
So, and I think her parents passed away like 15 years prior. They took out like another mortgage on the property too. She has 3 siblings. One of them passed away, but the other 2, one of them lived in Vegas. The other one lived in like Northern California. And they were all on the trust. And I was like, hey, like I started running her through all the options. Like, hey, like, is there any way, like, because typically what I do, which I follow you and Michael Frankie's thing, is like your best option is to do a reinstatement, right? And I run everyone through this: reinstatement, loan modification, Chapter 13 bankruptcy, cash sale, subject to. I keep it to those 5. There's obviously more than that, but like that's just the most simple. And I don't even go to subject to. I usually just keep it to those 4. So I basically say like, hey, I want to help you keep your house reinstate. Hey, I want to help you keep your house loan modification. Hey, if you need to push back your house so you can do these 2, you can bankrupt, you can file for bankruptcy, which I don't recommend, and I can't recommend because I'm not an attorney. And I always say that too. And if none of those work, I would love to present you, I would love to buy your home to save your house, basically. And so I ran her through all the options. I go, hey, is there any way, do you have 50 grand to like make this happen? She goes, I don't have 50 grand. And then I go, okay, what about loan modification? She's like, well, I did a loan modification a couple years ago. I don't approve for that either. I go, okay, well, do you just need more time? Like, if you were to file for bankruptcy, will you have more time? She's like, I can't. I was like, okay, well, have you thought about selling your house? Like, would you be open to it? She's like, I'm not sure. I was like, okay, and I just kind of ran her down the process of what that would look like. And she's like, okay, well, let me talk to my brother. My brother, he knows more about the situation. She's like, hey, do you want to come in? I look at the house. It's a really, really weird layout, but it was like, and she had roommates as well. So she had like 4 roommates living in the house with her. They were like friends, whatever. And so definitely that kind of played a little bit into the situation. And
yeah, because they're like mooching on her.
Yeah, I mean they're like paying rent.
Oh, they are. Okay.
They are like paying rent, so they are like tenants, but they're like close friends. It's called roommates,
got it.
right?
So they weren't taking advantage of it.
No.
Okay.
And they're all pretty nice people. It was a Filipino. She was Filipino, and they're just very, very, very kind and all that. So, I was like, hey, I'll come back in a couple of days after you talk to your brother to kind of see how the situation is. So I went back with her. I spoke with her. I was like, hey, did you talk to your brother? She goes, yeah. Like, he's open to have a conversation about selling the house. And that's when I called Marcus, and I was like, Marcus, like,
what do I do?
What do I do? What do I do? Like, help me, like, run comps. What should I offer? Like, I don't know. So him and I hopped on Zillow together. We ran comps in that whole area. 3-bed, 2-bath. I think the house is actually a 5-bed, 2-bath, but just, figure out exactly what the valuation. It's off of Main Street. Like, just figure out what we could assign this thing for. And I got pictures of it. We looked at the pictures together. It definitely needed like a good cleanup. Actually, more than cleanup. It needed a good rehab. And we ended up. He's like, all right, well, I think this is where we need to be. And I was like, hey, before I make an offer, can you just hop on the phone with me to like help them like navigate how the process would work? So he's like, all right. So me, him, Vivian and her brother all hopped on the phone, and we just started talking about how the process would work. We basically did like a 21-day inspection, 30-day close. We ended up doing a seller in possession with them as well. We're saying, hey, we know you have roommates. What we're going to do is we're going to do a seller. We offer you a seller in possession where basically after the house closes, we're going to give you an additional 30 days to stay in the house and figure out your next steps.
And you found a buyer that was okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They're like, all right, sounds good. So the market gets off the phone. I ran my comps. We valued the house right around 800 grand, between 800 to 825, all fixed up ARV. So I was just like, okay, well, we could probably assign this thing for somewhere in like the high to mid fives is what I'm looking at. So I was just like, I'm gonna throw a number out there and just see what they say. So I was like, hey, after running our number, my whole sales pitch, and I was like, your house got approved for $469,500. And I just be quiet, shut up, don't say anything. And then they're like, 469, okay, blah, blah, blah. And they go, okay, so what are the next steps? And I'm just, in my head, I'm like, yes, right? And I was like, okay, so I called Marcus right away. I was like, hey, send the contract over, send it over. And then I got their emails. And then I told them how the whole process would go. And then Marcus was like, he was stoked. We sent the contract over, made sure they were on the phone. And then they signed within 15, 20 minutes. And then that's when we're like, all right, we're going to open escrow on this thing because we know we can assign this deal. And I ended up, like, the house was actually probably about a 35, 40-minute drive for me. But I was going over there twice a week because I was like, I don't want this deal to fall through. I like this lady. I could tell she's dealing with some stuff.
Of course.
So I was just over there every week just checking, hey, Vivian, how's it going? I brought her flowers one day. Like, I was just like, really, because I can tell she's like a really good person, and I knew that there was like some struggle there, and I just wanted to like kind of be there and support and be like, hey, I just gotta check it, is it cool if I just check on this one room, take another photo, or just, hey, I was in the area. Like literally I would go back to that area, knock around doors, and I would stop back at her house just to see how she's doing while the property was under contract. So then we ended up finding, I believe if we use investor based, kind of just see people who are flipping homes in the area. And then we found someone who would be willing to take it for $555. So
you guys were right.
Yeah. So we actually listed it pretty high. We was like, we'll see if there's anyone out there that would.
You make about 90 grand on this deal.
80. It was, what was it? It was, we both walked away with 42.5.
Okay, so think about this.
Yeah.
You knock 95 doors.
Yeah.
Okay, so you and Marcus both make 42.5, which is awesome. It's a good split, 50-50. Obviously, he's there helping out as a great leader. So you take 42.5, right? Mm-hmm. You divide that into 95 doors. You got paid $447 for every door you knocked.
Yeah, which didn't feel like it, but at the end of the day, it was.
But that's how it works.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting when you break it down that way, where you go, it was 95 doors.
Yeah.
So if I really do that once every 100 and I can make 40 grand once every 100 houses, I'm making $400 every time I knock a door.
Yeah.
And you're knocking a door every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Really? Like when you're out there doing the thing, you're like, so really when you condense it down to the amount of time you were also spending on this, you also made about $1,200 to $1,500 per hour of roughly door knocking.
Yeah.
That's insanely good.
And I think it's pretty, like, if you are knocking on the weekends or if you spend like an hour or two during the week, like it's pretty, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's definitely possible to knock 100 doors in a month, like no problem.
I think it's simple.
Yeah.
I think it's simple, but it's not easy, right?
Yeah.
And I think the biggest reason why it's not easy is because most people don't have commitment like you do.
Yeah.
And they don't have consistency like you do.
Yeah.
A dude that can build this much muscle knows a thing or two about consistency.
16 years of doing it, so I guess.
But still, right?
Yeah.
But still, and that's the point.
Consistency, yeah.
Consistency.
Yeah.
So, and on that topic, you also are you're not, I wouldn't call it a life coach. You're an intimacy coach.
Yeah.
How the hell does one become an intimacy coach?
I just kind of realized, well, for most of my life, I was already a coach. Like I was a strength coach, baseball coach, right? I kind of stayed in that kind of realm. And then I just have a passion for people and connecting people. And I think when I looked at the broad spectrum of things and people nowadays, people are moving so far apart from one each other. Divorces are crazy high. Like I think
why is
online dating is
social
rampant.
Media?
It's everything. I mean, social media definitely plays a huge part, right? It's people like, I think it's a lot of women going in the workforce and not being super connected with their partners as well, too.
Yeah.
It's a lot of women who take on the role of being dominant figures in, like their bosses and CEOs. And a lot of times when they come home, like they don't know how to get back into their kind of like in their true feminine, right? So for what I kind of bring to the table is more like men embracing their true masculine and women embracing their true feminine, and being able to balance and being able to create a balance between the two, so that people can be more intimate, people can connect more in that space. So
it is interesting when you look at like the female growth in real estate investing.
Yeah.
Okay. So over the last 7 years, more women have gotten into real estate investing than men. Mm-hmm. And I look at that and I go, I think I'm not as tied to it as you are, but I think it's because a lot of men are not stepping up like they used to.
Yeah.
Men are getting a little bit weaker. Mm-hmm. They're not being as masculine. They're saying, I don't want to play the game anymore.
Well, every man and every woman has masculine and feminine energies inside them. And I think as time has gone, I think a lot of men have started to fall more into that feminine side, and women have started to take on more masculine roles.
That's my response to it. It's not that women have become more masculine. It's almost like, well, if you're not going to lead, I guess I have to.
Someone has to, yeah.
And if I'm leading, that means I'm going to be masculine, which means I diminish my feminine nature, which means I imagine they're less happy.
Yeah.
They're not following their purpose of what they want to be doing in their life. They're like boss lady all day long, and they come back home, and now it's like.
Which there's nothing wrong with that either, right?
Of course,
I think it's amazing.
There's different dynamics of every relationship.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, though, a lot of women, and this is my own opinion, this is like some of the people I work with, a lot of women want to fall into that true, feminine submissive role when they're at home with their partner, right? And I think a lot of men don't really know how to take that on nowadays.
What are like a couple for people that are watching right now? Like, man, I'm actually having connection issues in my life. What are some things for men that you see commonly come up with the clients that you coach? Like top 1, 2, or 3 things.
I think the biggest thing is communication usually goes out the window a lot of times.
Meaning it's not even happening at all.
I mean, not necessarily. Like I feel like when women a lot of times fall out of love, it becomes something where the individual partners don't necessarily communicate their true wants and desires, right? So there's a lot of relationships and a lot of connections are built on 3 main pillars, and that's connection, trust, and communication, right? A lot of times, some people might have 1 or 2 of them, but a lot of people who struggle, like they don't have all 3, right?
I mean, I imagine it's really hard to get trust and what's the first pillar?
Communication, connection, and trust.
Okay, if you're not communicating, how are you going to get trust and connection?
They all work synergistically, right? So it's like a lot of times, especially if like, for example, let's say both partners are out working, right? It's like they're out working, they're both working.
2 different lives.
Yeah, and then they come back, and a lot of times they just want to like disassociate into, their phones and by scrolling or
they're basically
whatever,
like roommates.
Yeah, and that's what happens. Partners start sleeping in separate beds. They stop going on different. They start like not
different
like
friend
they go on a
groups,
date, but
hobbies.
they go on a date, but they're on their phone. They're on like one person's on their phone, the other person's watching a football game or a baseball game, right? So it's like a lot of people. I think social media has definitely and the thing too is with the involvement of AI too, like, and the future, a lot of relationships I think are going to get worse because people are going to start not to want to, like, you can just get an AI girlfriend or an AI boyfriend, right? Who can just do everything, right? Like you can say whatever you want.
They can just gas you up all day long. Hey, you're the best closer I've ever heard. You're the best everything. Okay, so communication is the number one thing, especially I imagine with men. Men are like, well, I had a hard day. What's the point of communicating my hard day to my woman? I don't want to appear weak. What type of communication do you feel like they need to amplify in their relationships?
Well, I think it comes down to like, men are very like purpose-driven creatures naturally, and women are very intimate creatures, right? So it's like to truly balance each other out and to truly thrive, you need to kind of really dive into those, because a man's true, like, his drive is work, his purpose, that's where he puts all of his energy. And from what I've seen, a lot of women's drive, like in their true feminine, is raising a family. It's as I like to call it, it's frolicking in the garden is like my terminology for like, like with the kids in the garden, in the whatever field, like strawberry fields where we're picking strawberries on a random Wednesday or something like that. So it's a lot of times it's just like the more farther away we get away from that, the less I think connection starts to like kind of dwindle a little bit.
So a dude's coming to you as a client. What is their number one thing? Like, hey, Dylan, I need help with blank. What's the number one thing they're coming to you for?
I would say is most of them are like, I need help. Like my partner doesn't think I'm dominant enough. I need help kind of embracing that role more enough, right? Because like, and that's where the whole masculine energy kind of comes in. You know, a lot of individuals, a lot of men aren't embracing that, right? They're not truly taking that on.
From a generic standpoint, let's say somebody doesn't know what you're talking about. Yeah. It's like, okay, so I should just start throwing weights around, taking 17 grams of creatine every 14 hours.
I mean, working out definitely helps.
Of course.
It definitely helps, but I also think it's more about like your purpose, right? You know, and that comes into like even the work itself, right? With like, you know, like even the door knocking stuff, like go out and take action in your life, take action in the work you do, and your partner, like your wife, your girlfriend will see that and they'll want to be more attracted to that. Like women are attracted to men who have drive, men who
have a game plan.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so I remember watching my mom and my dad struggle, and looking back now, it was always, my parents are still together to this day. They've always figured it out, but the times that they had hard times is when my dad was dealing with whatever he was dealing with, and he went 2 years without having a game plan. It was just, he was putting effort in, but what he was doing is he was going all day long to his job. He would come back home and then not talk to anybody for 2 years.
Yeah.
And my mom sitting in the, she's in the kitchen. She's trying to be in her feminine, but he's not leading and saying, this is where we're going. This is what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. This is the mission that I'm on to bring these benefits to our household. It was just like, yeah, work sucked today.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's like one of the biggest things is like, you should never have to ask your partner what they want to eat. You should just tell them, hey, this is what they're going to eat. This is what we're going to have for dinner, or this is where we're going to go to dinner, because you should already know like what they enjoy, right? And I think a lot of times there's like the aspects of like, oh, like what do you want? I don't know, what do you want? And like no one's really taking on that role, right? And that's just one example, right? And I think like there's nothing I think that women love more than when a man goes, hey, I want you to dress in this, whatever, and wear those one heels because I'm going to take you somewhere nice tomorrow or tonight or whatever, right?
You had a plan, you thought about the thing, you're letting me dress up in my feminine, which is frolicking in the garden.
And that's intimate. All that stuff is like true intimacy, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to fall into is like, and that's what women thrive on is that, right? And I think, cheating happens and disconnection happens when women kind of fall out of that, when they feel like their partner's not connecting anymore and their partner's not communicating them and maybe their partner's not around them anymore, right? And that's why like, going on walks together or just like touching each other and like hugging each other more often and like showing like actual, love that's not, how can I say this? Like showing a sense of, hey, like I see you and I appreciate you. Because at the end of the day, like a lot of times all women want to hear is like, hey, I recognize you, I love you, I appreciate you, and I can't wait to see you when I get home.
Here's what I've learned in my relationship with my wife. We've been together 16 years. Is not only do I need to have a plan, right, as a masculine human being, I need to make sure she knows that she's a part of my plan and that in fact, she's the foundation of the plan. And when a woman knows that, we're like, wow, you planned things and you planned things with me involved?
Yeah.
Wow.
The attraction is just next level and it just makes her like want to.
It's interesting because wholesalers come to me, as somebody who's been in the industry talking vocally, not that I'm the most intelligent person on the planet, but I'm loud and people listen to me. They come up to me and they go, I can't get my girlfriend or my wife on board with my real estate investing journey.
Yeah.
And my answer to them, and I'm curious about what your answer would be, but my answer to them is always, well, here's what I think is going on. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I'm not an intimacy coach, which is where I'm actually been trying to steer this conversation, is for the people going, damn, well, what do I do? How do I get my girl on the same page with me? I want her to not criticize me going to meetups. I don't want her criticizing me doing these X, Y, and Z things. She's not supporting me in the role. It's like, okay, hold on. What I think is going on is this. You have been saying you're going to get started in real estate, but all you do is you're on a Zoom, then you're on a meetup, then you're reading a book, then you're going to a seminar, then you're doing this. you're basically absorbing information, but you're not actually applying anything. And then on top of that, which is like the biggest thing, she's not seeing any results.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, going back to what you're saying, is that you're not communicating why you're not getting those results. So for example, let's say I'm going to go start a new business. I want to start a winery.
Yeah.
I don't, but we were talking about wineries.
Yeah.
I would say, hey, sweetheart, I'm obsessed with this winery thing. I think it could look like this. It could give us retirement. I think it'd be really fun. We'd have a garden. We'd have 100 acres. We'd be able to, name our own winery. You cast a vision, right? Just like a masculine planner would. And you say, but I'm not going to make money for 3 or 4 years. In fact, it's going to be stressful. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be incredibly hard. But you're going to watch me go through all those obstacles. I know they're going to be there. And as I go through those obstacles, I'm going to appreciate a lot of your support. Thank you so much. In advance, this is the route I'm going. Can I get your support? Versus what happens is your girlfriend, your wife, your spouse, whatever, doesn't know what wholesaling is. So what you do is you go, I'm getting into wholesaling. It's this really cool thing, real estate. And people, dude, Johnny down the street made $40,000. Dylan made $42,500 on a door knocking thing. That's $447 per door he knocked. And you're talking about the numbers and you're talking about the reward, but you did not explain to them that you are new to it and you will not make money for a couple of months. And so what happens is you don't cast the vision properly. You don't tell them about the challenges you're going to run into. And you don't tell them, more importantly, how you're going to overcome those problems when they do arise. And so what happens is your girlfriend or your spouse just sees you doing nothing in their mind.
Just talking about it, yeah.
And do you have a client? One, that my first question is, what would you say to those wholesalers that are running into that? Is that, in your opinion, your expert experience, that is what's going on?
I mean, that's what I did for months before I actually started knocking doors. Was just researching properties, okay, here's my niche I can do, and let me just rewatch more of Pace and Michael's videos. Let me make sure it's perfect, right? A lot of people, and that's the biggest thing too, which is I think what you've talked about a lot too, is people want to have the perfect plan before it's executed.
Yeah.
Right. It's about just zip in the mouth and just actually putting the work in and just getting one step better and one step closer and and building something, right? So the biggest thing I think too is a lot of people have the vision of the skyscraper, they have the vision of the house, but a lot of times you might have the vision, you might draw all the plans, you have the blueprint in front of you, but the work doesn't start until you call the concrete company to come in and pour the foundation.
That's right.
Right. So
especially if you're a visionary, right? Men typically are here's my game plan, here's my vision. A female or somebody in their feminine is too busy turning your house into a home, too busy frolicking in the garden to understand the blueprint phase, the permit phase, the this phase, the blah, blah, blah phase. It's not until the concrete is poured at the foundation where they start seeing results. They go, oh, you were serious.
Yeah.
It's what are you talking about? I've been working on this for 6 months. Well, you didn't communicate that, like what Dylan is saying.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So you take people through, how do people hire you? Where do they go?
Usually I'll post content online, or I'll just I have an email list usually that
But how do they get there?
It's just a lot of times we'll either see stuff that I'll post or I'll talk about, or I'll just meet people in person too.
So you're doing one-on-one stuff?
Typically, yes. Yeah, I recently just started, so a lot of the stuff I'm doing is just one-on-one.
Okay,
but the goal obviously is to love to build a community and do group coaching and do kind of that stuff.
I think a lot of dudes sharing, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
One of my opinions, I could be wrong about this. Yeah. You're more of an expert. A lot of men in the real estate world should not be going home and complaining about how hard their day was in the real estate world. They should go home and say, things were great, I learned a lot, overcame a ton of things, moving in the right direction. How was your day? Short, sweet, whatever. You shouldn't go home and go, oh my gosh, my partner this and my this, that, and the other, complaining like a little sissy.
You leave that stuff at work.
Leave that at work. And more importantly, you leave that with other dudes.
Yeah.
So when you have other homies in the group, it's like you and Marcus.
Yeah.
Iron sharpens iron, which is why a lot of dudes should be joining things like what you're planning on building, which is dudes sharing their experiences and going, wait, hold on, I'm not alone here.
Yeah.
This isn't a me problem.
Yeah.
This is like a dude problem.
Yeah.
Which means I can overcome this pretty simply.
Yeah.
That's cool, dude.
Well, truly embracing, at the end of the day, it's teaching men how to truly embrace their masculine, and then also teaching women how to truly embrace their feminine, which is the other side of it, because like I said, there's a lot of women out there who are taking on these masculine roles that are being gangsters and dominating and like having these amazing sales positions and buying all this real estate and doing amazing stuff. And then a lot of times they don't know how to flip the switch and go back into what their own like genetics are, and that is be in their own feminine role, right? So it's like teaching them a lot of times how to fall into that and how to fall into like that side of things, and the kind of tactics and the things the actions to kind of take, and then working with couples to basically find out like, okay, we're gonna, as a man, we're gonna like these are things you're gonna do to be more in your dominant masculine role, and as a woman, this is what things you're gonna do. And I'm not stopping females from going out and doing, like, do your thing, go grind, go be a sales leader, go kill it. But like, here are some extra like tools for your tool belt to like truly fall into what your genetics want you to be in, what like your DNA is meant for you to kind of fall into. So yeah, it's exciting balancing that and also still knocking doors. So yeah.
You know, it's interesting. When I first thought about real estate and I first jumped in, I thought I was going to be just doing one thing. Like I looked at real estate as like this one blob of real estate. Now that I'm in the game, I was looking at all my buy boxes and all the things I do. I'm like, man, we just bought a bunch of land for car washes we're building. I just bought a bunch of RV parks, mobile home parks, apartment buildings. I'm selling my single family properties and 1031ing them into other things. I've got a lending business, I've got a title company, and all of these things kind of come together. I'm like, oh, this is what real estate actually is. It's like this massive thing that's much larger than what I planned.
Yeah.
And real estate changes and evolves, and you have to change and evolve with it because you start understanding your capabilities. And I have active income roles as well. So what's interesting is a lot of people go, I want to quit my job and get into real estate. I'm like, if you quit your job or your other business to get into real estate full time, then real estate becomes your job. So if you love what you're doing, which intimacy coaching sounds actually pretty freaking awesome. Like if you love what you're doing, you keep that as your main thing. Real estate becomes your side hustle. And over the next couple of years, you get some rentals, you get an RV park, you get a mobile home park.
Yeah.
And you go, you know what? I actually love intimacy coaching. I'm just going to keep growing that too.
Yeah, like I met a guy, this is kind of a side note. I went to Rich Somers' meetup actually last Wednesday. He has the Beers and Deals meetup, which is awesome in downtown San Diego. And I met this guy who was like, hey man, I was like, you know, I actually, and when I go to these meetups, I do the exact same thing that you, because I'm like a connector too. I go to these spaces and I literally just go, what do you have and what do you need? So I literally just take that.
Simple.
It's so simple. And everyone I tell that to, they're like, dude, like, where did you learn this from? I was just like, this guy named Pace. Yeah.
My homie Pace.
And he's like, dude, I love it. Like, I'm going to start using that more often. And I go, so I talk to this guy. I goes, what do you have? What do you need? He goes, well, I am a like computer engineer and like analysis, whatever. He does some type of software engineer. And he's like, I have like $200,000 saved up and I want to get into real estate. What do I do? And I say, well,
give it to
he's
me.
like, well, here's the thing. I said, he's like, do I just quit, become an agent? Do I go like start wholesaling? What do I do? And I said, honestly, like I would lend your money.
Yeah.
Is what I told him. I said, hey, I know this great group. You know, it's Pace Morby has this group. It's you know, being like a Gator lender, and you learn about how to lend your money, and you see how how the process works when you lend your money to someone who's doing a fix and flip or whatever it may be, right? Or an RV park or whatever. And he was like, oh, well, tell me more about that. And I was like, well, you don't really have to do any work. You just literally, you lend your hard-earned money to someone that does all the work for you, and you literally are at the job site or wherever every single day, seeing how the process works. And in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, like you make a pretty nice return, and you can just keep doing that, and you keep compounding out that. And then maybe you learn from that. Like, let's say you lend your money on a fix and flip, and you follow that person. Like, next thing you know, you're learning how to do fix and flips. And then now you can quit your job, and you can take the money that you've learned, and you can go start doing that, right?
Which then becomes a new job for you, just so you guys know. We always have a job. So whatever you love, whatever you're into, which, you know, intimacy coaching actually sounds incredibly fun.
Yeah.
Because you're still, you know, if you went full-time just wholesale, it's going to be another 9 to 5 job to a certain degree.
Yeah, and that's what it was. I actually was doing that. So when I joined Marcus and his team, I was just doing that.
Yeah.
And then I realized, I was like, honestly, like, I'm not gonna say I don't have time. I wasn't prioritizing taking calls in the middle of the day when I'm like at the gym, or like, cause they'll get calls, you'll get a PPC call, and you need to, like, when these leads come in, you have to answer like immediately. Yeah. So it's like, and then doing all that while I'm like trying to also manage some other stuff as well. And I'm just like, it was a great intro and great like beginning steps to like work with the team and see how it goes. And then that's when I was like, phone call stuff like this is just not my forte. I like talking to people. I like, and I'm actually glad that we're doing this here instead of doing it virtually, because this is just like so much, like one-on-one interactions are so much better personally. And that's where I kind of was just like, all right, that's when I started venturing door knocking, and it then led to, now the coaching that I'm doing while I'm still door knocking as well. So always busy, always doing stuff. And
creators are going to create, you're going to create opportunity for yourself. You're going to create opportunity for clients to be able to be helped from your experiences, all of those types of things. And I'm glad we also did this in person as well. 7:30, guys, we went an hour and a half. Are you kidding me? Our average Get Creative podcast is like 45 minutes. This was a lot of fun for me. Plus, I wanted to get to know Dylan a little bit more. I saw him in LA, wasn't able to connect with him. I had craziness going on. That was the day I met Maddie, the homeless lady, that morning I saw you. And that's for 4 months, that took over like my whole life. Just being involved in that story and trying to tell people and show people like, hey, anybody can literally do this.
Where is she at now, if you don't mind me asking?
She just moved into her first SubTo house. She's co-living 9 bedrooms.
That's crazy.
Bro. It's so crazy. So she just moved. We just released episode 3 on the YouTube channel, but the sad thing is, like, by the time things hit YouTube, it's 2 months later.
Yeah.
She bought a SubTo house from a SubTo member. Mm-hmm. She raised money from a SubTo member for the down payment. She moved into the house. The other 9 bedrooms are rented out. They bring in $9,000 a month. Her payment's $2,400. She has pad splits managing it, a bunch of other expenses. She gets one of the rooms for free, and she cash flows like $900 a month.
From literally being homeless to...
Literally, I go, hey, sweetheart, tell my wife, I go, hey, date night this week.
Yeah.
You cool if we go to a homeless shelter? And she's like, I'm not even going to ask, but I'm down.
Yeah.
And so we took this lady from homeless to homeowner within 45-minute drive. We went and picked her up, and we drove her up to her house. I handed her the keys, and my wife's like, you really did this. And I go, I taught the framework, but she did the work.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, you might have an intimacy client that's like, oh my gosh,
do all the work for me, or a lot of people do that too.
It's like, hey man, but people have to put the work in. It's the same thing with you. Like, you knocked 95 freaking doors.
Yeah.
And you quit after 9 months or a year prior.
About 8 months, 10 months prior.
But you then went back into it and you did the freaking work, and you found a groove and you did the freaking work, and it shows up, and that consistency obviously is rewarded. Anyway, so intimacy coaching. How do people find you? Don't be like, hey, I post on...
Well, right now, I don't have anything really right now that's like kind of in the works. It's kind of still in like I would say like beta.
But can't they text you or email you or something?
You can, email is fine. Yeah, email is just...
Give them your email, bro. Come on.
It's just my first initial, my first name, and then my last name at gmail.com. So
okay, we'll put on the screen. We'll put it down below. We'll send people over to you.
That's fine.
I feel like it's a massive need in the industry, not just the industry. I think just in the world, it's massively needed.
Yeah.
And I think more and more people are getting disconnected, like you said. And the reality is, the connection with my woman makes my life so easy, and my ability to make money 10,000 times easier. Yeah. When there's disarray in my household, this has been 10 years since I've had disarray. When there were problems in the intimate side of my life, I had a really hard time making money outside of the house. Mm. And so for those of you guys that tune into me and go, I want to make more money, you got to get your house in order, and this is a dude that is helping people out, which is freaking awesome. And by the way, is there anything you want in your real estate industry or real estate business?
I mean, not right now, I would say. I would love to kind of down the road. I mean, my main goal in my life is I would love to own property honestly, across the world. I would love to have like 4 to 5 different spots. You know, one in Croatia for sure.
I was just gonna say,
one in Croatia. Got to have like a spot in Croatia, a spot in Puerto Rico. I would love a spot in like the Pacific Northwest. I think you know, Oregon, Washington in the summertime is like probably one of my favorite places on the planet for weather-wise. Trees, running water, everything. And then yeah, maybe a spot, I don't know, somewhere else. Just places where I can go, like if and when I do have a family, like we can just kind of venture, kind of like you in Montana. You know, we go to Oregon for the summer, we go to Croatia for the summer, whatever it may be, and yeah, that's like my big goal, right? Obviously, it'd be fun to own, you know, rental properties or you know, or have, you know, subject to property, whatever it may be. But my big goal is to own a few different pieces of property across the world that I can kind of travel to and just get out of the main, wherever I'm based, whether it's in San Diego or wherever I'm at, kind of get out of that norm for a little bit and go kind of experience the world from there. So
love it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, if you are feeling what Dylan is dealing, then follow him on Instagram. Go reach out to him. We'll put his email down below. What a great story, dude. You took the challenge, the door knocking challenge. You go and freaking get the deal done. You guys make 88-something thousand bucks. Split the deal. Shout out to Marcus and other leaders like Michael Frankie inside of our amazing community, all helping each other out, lifting each other up. Iron sharpens iron, my friend. And leave a comment for Dylan down below. Let him know your favorite part. His storytelling is on point. His communication ability is obviously incredibly high level. So you guys out there having problems in your relationships, reach out to this dude, hire him. He's like, I don't have anything. Freaking say, Dylan, let me hire you guys. And we'll see you another episode of